Hi, it's Anna Haferman, and today I want to show you how to do these little dolls, which have been really popular lately as a charity project. The charity is called the Izzy Project, and it's named after a Canadian soldier whose mother made these dolls, and she would give them to him, and he would give them to children in war-torn areas as comfort dolls or just little gifts. Um, If you make them and call them Izzy dolls, you are expected to donate them. You're not expected to sell them. These dolls, however, have been around for a long time, so I recall seeing these like in the 80s. Here's a pattern. This is a machine knitting pattern for some. And then this book, which is a machine knitting book, which I've misplaced mine. This is a picture of the cover. This is on the front, and that's what that is. So they've been around forever, and there's all kinds of patterns for them, but I'm going to show you that most of the patterns are done hand knitting. But I'm going to show you that you can do it on the LK150 really easily, and just do the basic shape. So we're just going to go through the basic one, which is like, let's see, basic one: shoes, pants, shirt, face, hair. And you are encouraged to vary the skin tones and hair colors, and do them in, vary them, because these are going all over the world. A lot of people make these and really get creative with them and like make them look like policemen or ballerinas or whatever. I haven't done anything too fancy with these. This one's just basic. Then this one I added a little hair, some ponytails, which was really easy. This one I duplicate stitched a heart in the middle. Here I made both of these. I made striped shirts. This one just has a little scarf. So you can do a lot, and if you look online, you'll find tons of them that people have made really fancy. So and I think because for this way, when you do it, the base, there's just the plain thing is pretty fast because it's on the machine. And there we go. You guys all stay in there. And then put on a merry-go-round. So I'm going to show you on the LK150 how to do these. Most of the hand knit patterns, which you can find online, are done with DK weight yarn, so that's really adaptable. They're supposed to be about 6 inches tall, so usually they have 32 needles. Some have 33. You'll be able to find patterns online, and I'm also going to put this one up on my page for anyone can look at this. So I'm going to start with the shoe color, and I will put a link to where the pattern is, or the pattern will probably be on either in the community section on YouTube or possibly on Ravelry. So what I'm going to do is the shoe color, usually they say to do it in black, but I'm going to use gray because it's a little easier to see. I'm going to leave a little bit of yarn tail. Now, so we're going to do our gathering cast on, which for these dolls, for the cast on, this is a gathering cast on, which means you can gather the shoes up really easily. If you're doing it with a hand knitting, it's a little harder. You may be able to do a gathering cast on with hand knitting, but I'm actually would have to think about how that goes. So I'm just going to knit one row. I'm on tension 3 with every other needle, and then I'm going to hang my comb and pull out every other. So I've got 16 to 16, so 32 needles. I'm going to knit a row. Okay, and that's my cast on. Now I'm going to set to row count to set to 0 and do 4 rows for the shoes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we've already done the shoes. Now we're going to cut the yarn and get our pants color. I'm going to use blue, just basic, kind of a denim looking blue. You can use any color you want. And you can do the shoes in whatever color you want. You can, you're supposed to get creative with these. And people make them look like little animals or little, like bears, things like that. So then we're going to do the blue for the pants, and we're going to do 14 rows. So we did the cast on, 4 rows for the shoes, 14 rows for the pants. And so we're almost half done. It gets a little more when we start to gather the hair. That's when it takes a little bit of time, but it's not that hard. So then I'm going to do a pink shirt, put some pink yarn in, and knit. So add the pink yarn, put a clip on my blue so that hold it down. Reuse my clips, and then for the shirt I need 12 rows for the shirt. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so I've done my pants and my shirt now. Now I'm ready to do the face. And again, use a skin tone that you want to use. Use this. I need to take the pink out. So you need to have different colors, but you don't really need a lot of any of it. So you can use up little scraps. You can, get creative with that. So put the face yarn in, and each time I'm just hanging a clip on the end of the yarn so it weighs it down enough that I don't have to do anything crazy. So I'm doing 8 yarns for the face, 8 rows. 2, okay, so we're almost there. And we're going to do hair now. So we're going to make this one blonde, and add my yellow yarn. Okay, so for the hair I do 4 rows. So I do 4 rows, and now we have to start shaping. Now, if you look at any of these, I shaped it by decreasing. So it's knit flat, it's decreased so it stays round on top, and then, you know, you sew it up the back. But decreasing across a row in hand knitting is pretty easy because you knit these, so you knit 4, knit 2 together, knit 4, knit 2 together. But in machine knitting, you have to do it slightly different way. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have a seaming stitch on each side, so that I'm going to ignore. So for this row 42, I'm going to have 4 needles, then I'm going to, these 2 I'm going to transfer together, then I'm going to go 4, 2, I'm not only pulling them out just to mark where I need to transfer. Okay, so I should have 1 seaming needle, then 4 that are basically knit, then these 2 will transfer, and in hand knitting it's knit 2 together. In machine knitting we don't call it that, so we'll have 4, then 2, 4, then 2, 4, then 2, 4, 2, and a seaming needle. And I didn't pull those all the way out, I just pulled them out so I could transfer them without counting every time. So I'll transfer these together. So the 2 that I pulled out just shows me where to transfer. And it's easier to do it this way because if you count as you go, it's hard to see what you're, it's hard to count because, no, it just is. So I've done my transfers, right? And this is how you would transfer the top of a hat if you made a fitted hat. So then what we need to do, we still haven't knit this row. We've just got it set up to knit. And if I knit it like this with the needles in work, I'm going to get an eyelet, which I don't want. If I take them out of work and knit, I'm going to get a long bar, which I also don't want. So what I need to do is transfer all the stitches together so the holes close up, basically. And this takes a little bit of time, but it's not terrible. So we're just transferring everything. I'm transferring toward 0. I'm transferring all toward the center, but you could, this is the easiest way to do it. And you want to make sure those latches stay open, which can be kind of a problem, but I'm going to show you a little tool that will help with that. Come on. Okay, so I've transferred those. Now I need to transfer these over here toward the center. So it's, and I'm going to transfer just these 2, even though I'm using my 3-prong tool. I'm just leaving 1 empty, but so now when you get here, when those latches are closed, sometimes it's kind of hard to get them all to, and of course it's not doing it now, but one thing I did do is I have this magnet that I actually have this, I think it's to pick up stuff, but it seemed to work better with an extra magnet on the end, and it'll just keep your latches open. So that's my little tool of the day. So I think I got that, I think I got the magnet pickup tool at probably Dollar Tree, but I think they have them, you know, Harbor Freight. So here I have 1 empty that I didn't really notice, so I'm going to go over. And All right. So I've got all my needles together so that I'm not going to have empty needles. I have to remember to push back the 5 extra. So there's whatever on the end that you didn't knit. Those are the extra 5. So now I'm just going to knit 2 rows. So this is row 42. I've set it up. I haven't knit it yet. 1, 2. Okay, then this time I'm still transferring. This time I'm doing only 3 needles between. So I'm going to have 1 end needle, 3, 3, 2 together, 3, 2 together, 3, 2 together, 3, 2 together, 3, 2 together. And that's my end stitch. So that way, I just pulled those out a tiny bit so I could just identify which ones they are. And that way, again, when I'm going across, I'm not having to guess. So, and I've made a few of these in the past few days, so I've tried to come up with little tricks that make it a little easier. Okay, now I want to transfer these together. And this is one thing that in machine knitting is harder to do than in hand knitting. In hand knitting, you just kind of knit along and you knit 3, then you knit 2 together, then you knit, you know, so, but in machine knitting, you have to do a little bit more work. Kind of like in machine knitting, you've got to do garter stitch is a lot more challenging. But I think that this part of it definitely makes up for the time you spend transferring. And it's really only, I think it's only 4 different rows we have to transfer. And sometimes when you're stretching it, it can be difficult. So now right here, if I stretch these 2 over, it's gonna really stretch here. So what I'm gonna do first is just move these 2 over, and that'll give me a little less, it's gonna make it a little easier in the long run. Even though it's like 1 extra maneuver, it makes it a little easier. And sometimes when you're really stretching those needles, usually across like 3 or more, then it's easier to drop stitches. So I push back the ones that I don't need, make sure I don't have any gaps, knit 2 rows. Okay, now I'm going to, there it is. Now I'm going to have my end stitch. Now I'm going to have 2 between each stitch. So I'm going to have 2. Knit 1, 2, 3, then 2 together, then 2, 2 together, 2, 2 together, 2 together. So you see, each time it's just, the first time was 4, then it was 3, now it's 2. The next one's going to be 1. So it just, it's easy. And as you go along, you have less stitches to transfer, so it gets a little bit easier as you go. So see here, I'm like really stretching it, and I should have probably moved those 2 over before I did that, but I didn't do that. So that's what then I'll pick these 2 up. It probably won't make much difference in the end. It's just easier if you transferred the 2 beforehand. And I've got 5 needles, 3 on each, 3 and 2 that I need to knit. And so now I'm going to knit, that was row 47, 48, let's just knit. Row 49, this time I'm taking my comb off because at this point I've got a lot of weight on there. So now I'm going to have my end needle, knit 1, knit 2 together, 1, 2 together. So each time it's going down by 1 how many needles I'm keeping in between. So I'm going to go like that, like so just transferring them over. There we go. And now I'm still going to move those, move them to the center however you can. Here I'm going to move these 2 first, then move these 2, and see, me moving those over 1 saved me a little bit of like effort, so, and kind of saved me from dropping a stitch. Okay, so now I'm just going to push back the needles I don't need. Then I'm going to knit just 1 row this time. Then I'm going to have 0 stitches between my transfers. So I've got my end needle. These 2 are going to knit together, these 2, these 2. So this is just like every other. But keep your 1 seaming needle there. So this time I have 0 in between. And at that time I only did that 1. I didn't do the plain row, so all right. And you still want to transfer them to move them together if you got too much weight on here, so it's really kind of hard to transfer. So here I'm going to do that. That's going to make it easier, I think. Then I'll move those 2 over there. Okay, so make sure to push your needles back. You should have 7 needles in work now, and I'm just going to knit my last row. Okay, so that was it, and now I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut this tail pretty long because I'm going to seam the whole thing with this yarn. I'm just going to thread that. That's probably too big. Do I have a smaller one? Okay, so this time I'm just threading off the needles, and usually I try to go around, so I'm going from left to right, and these stitches get pretty small because I did it at a small stitch size, but you should be able to get. This is just a double-eye tool from a standard gauge machine. You can use a darning needle if that's what you have. Okay, so that's it. All right, now I'm going to take all that off, and I have a lot of clips going on here. All right, so there is my little doll. That's the top. I'm just going to kind of gather that together. So there's shoes. So we did a gathered cast on, so I'm just gathering it a little here. I'm not going to gather it right yet. shoes, pants, shirt, face, hair. So now what you do is you want to make sure to tie off anywhere you change color. Just tie those off, and you won't have to weave these in because they'll wind up inside the doll and it won't cause any trouble. So, but I would tie them in knots so that they don't come apart. I don't know that they would, but just tie them in knots. That's how I do it. So here's, anytime you change color, you're going to have two you need to tie together. That's not a big deal. And a lot of people, you know, there's a little bit of finishing work on this, and I think that's something that you can do in your, like when you're watching TV or whatever. So that's it. So now I'm going to, let's see, now I'm going to mattress stitch up down the side. I'm going to go with the yellow. I think it's easier if I do it this way. Some people do the face now. I have done it both ways. I'm just going to mattress stitch and then show you the face. So I really want them to match up nicely, my colors. So take a little time to make sure that everything, that you're getting it correct. And this can be a little bit of a challenge. So mattress stitch, what we do, so that's my first row of stitches. And so I go from one to the other. I pick up 2 bars each time. If you don't know how to mattress stitch, it's definitely worth learning. I have several videos where I show it. Once you get good at it, it's actually fun. So a lot of people hate it, but I think it's because they're just not good at it yet. So I always I'm going in 1 stitch in that same row and picking up those bars. So where am I? And I go back in the same place, and I'm actually going to fudge this because I think I want to make sure it ends up in the same place. So it's okay if you pick up like 1 stitch on one side to get it to match up. So sometimes with that gathered top, it can be really difficult to see what you're doing. So you just kind of want it to look nice. 1, 2, and 2, and let's see how close that is. All right, here's Claudine, everyone. This is what's known as a nudge. So Claudine is a very sweet cat, but she can be very, very annoying. And her thing that she does is she will come, I'm upstairs in my house now, and as soon as we sit down to watch a show, she will pick up something like this and bring it down the stairs and meow really loudly. I try to remember to close the door, but I have made her some little toys that she can carry around, and honestly, one of these would be perfect for her to carry around. So this could be a nice cat toy too. Anyway, when you do these, when you are sewing up, that doesn't take very long. And you could probably do this on a sewing machine. I think it would be faster for me to just mattress stitch. So then, anyway, we just sew it up the back. There's the front. Okay. Now, stop that. Now we just stuff it. So we're going to need some polyfill. I got some at Michael's, but you can get it anywhere. I think they have it. They probably still have it at Walmart. Use your discretion on how much or how little you want to put in here. And if you stuff it and you don't like it, you can take it out, and you can do all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to get a ball like that, maybe like a snowball size, and stick that in for the head. And right here, it's kind of pulling my stitches apart there, so I'm going to just give it a little tug to close those up. And put a little more in for the body. And these all kind of take on a character of, they're all sort of end up kind of different. So maybe that's a little too much. All right. I guess that will work. And now what I can do, what I need to do is just, this was the tail that I left at the beginning. I'm going to pull that to close it. Then any kind of leftover tails will go right back in, so don't worry too much about them. All right, so there's that tail. What I'm going to do is just tie it to the yellow one. Actually, I want to close it up a little more than that, and then tie it to that yellow one. Okay, the yellow one I'm going to end up clipping off, but I will thread it through first. Okay, so now I'm going to take this yellow one and just go inside. When I showed you how to do the pumpkin, we did this kind of thing too, where you just go in, come out anywhere you want, and that way then you can just clip, sort of pull it a little bit out, clip, and it's gone. So it really just disappears. So, and it's going through all that polyfill, so it's not going to be a problem. So here's the tail that I tied to the blue ones. I'm going to take that one and just stick it inside somewhere. Come out with it. And again, just clip it close, and it's gone. Okay? So now what I want to do is sew off the head, or gather the head. Now, some people just tie something around that. I actually prefer to make it a little more secure, because these are for kids. So what I do is I go in, there's my seam right there. I'm going to go in that first stitch. I'm just going to get the left bar of each one. So I'm going into each stitch, picking up just the left bar of the stitch. So there's the right bar and the left bar. I'm just picking up one. And that way it'll gather it. And this won't take very long. And just go around the whole thing. So we're just gathering this up and getting into every stitch. And I played around with ways to do this while it's still on the machine, like weaving it in, and I found this was really the easiest thing to do. Okay, so there, I've gone all the way around. Now if I pull on this, it's going to make the head like that. So to gather it, what I want to do is tie them like this. So I'm just going to go around once and then a second time, and that way I can gather it a little tighter. So if I just pull now, it should gather pretty well. So there's my head, and now I just tie that off. And this, because that's acrylic yarn, it's not going to break when you do that. Where did I put there? Where are you? Well, actually, I'm going to be using an upholstery needle on the rest of this, so I'm going to sew these in now. Just take those tails and get them to the inside. This needle's probably too long. Go right in and come out anywhere you want on your doll. And that's all I did. And again, I had tied them off, so I don't need to worry about that. Where's that other end? There it is. So they're tied off, and now they've gone through that polyfill, so they're going to stay there. Then I'll just pull those out a tiny bit, snip them, and it just disappears. So you have no tail to move it, to weave in. Now I'm going to sew the legs. So you can still kind of see that yellow yarn, but once I close this up, you're not going to be able to see it. So I'm just going to go, where's the center? I'm going to find the seam. There's the seam in the back, and I'm going to go through there. And now I'm just going to sew sew this up. So first I want to close this a little bit more. Try to hide that. For some reason that yellow yarn is really showing, but all right, so now I want to sew along the seam in the back. I want to sew it, basically center it, so the seam, and then just kind of go up the middle. And I find that this upholstery needle, which is pretty long, is easier than a darning needle because it's sharper and longer. And I can put a link for those if you want me to. So basically I'm just back stitching. I'm trying to go in the same groove and back stitch. Back here I'm trying to go through the seam and just make, I'm sewing this little seam here. So when you sew it, it'll be hard to see actually. If you strayed a little bit, it'll be pretty, it ends up like folding in on itself, so you can't really see if you made a little mistake, so don't worry about that. And really, if you have this long needle, it really helps because it's sharp. If you're going with kind of a blunt, shorter needle, it will end up, you'll get kind of stuck in the polyfill. All right. Okay, so I think that's going to be it on my legs. Now I'm going to go over here, come out, going to try to do 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Going to do this, I kind of do by eye. Yeah, come out right there. That's that same piece of yarn. And then I'm going to go in and come out right there. It's actually in the exact right place. And that's all you're doing is kind of back stitching it and pulling it. And I just use the same piece of yarn for the arms, the legs. I will probably use a different yarn for the eyes and mouth. And you don't have to put, some people don't put mouths on these. Some people do. Some people don't like the way it looks. I sort of like the ones, I got a loop there. I sort of like the ones I've, there we go. I like how I've done mine. I think they look kind of cute. It's just 2 little pieces of yarn. It's actually 1 piece of yarn, but that's pretty easy. So I'm just continuing this. If you don't like sewing, you might not like this project, but a lot of people really enjoy getting real creative with these, so you do what you like. So you see how it's already getting, so it has a little pocket. It's supposed to look like hands in pockets. So that's about as far as I'm going to go on the arms. So I'm going to go back in, then come over here and do this arm. So it's really just 1 piece of thread that's going through 3, 4, 6, going through all the layers. And you know, at the end I will I don't even know if you have to secure it because it's so tightly knit and it's going through polyfill. So I think it's going to stay in place. This is why I left a long tail at the beginning. Right now I'm thinking I should have left even more. If you had a shorter, sharper needle for this, it might be better to switch to that. Oh, let's see, 1 more. And I think that's good. They kind of end up taking on their own little character. This kind of got a little bit off, but I'm okay with that. Then I'm going to go, I think I'm just going to push it through and tie it off with something. I'll tie that off later. I'm going to leave it right there for right now. Now I'm going to do the eyes. The eyes, usually I do them in black or gray. I'm going to use gray here. So I'm going to get a kind of a long piece of yarn, longer than you would think. And there's my needle. All right, I can't find my first needle, so I'm going to use this. So I'm going to thread that with a piece of gray yarn. Now I'm going to work out where I'm going to put the face. That's the seam in the back. Should have pulled that a little tighter, but and I'm just going to try to center it. I usually go 1, 2, 3 on the third one down, and then 3 apart. So that's where I'm going to put the second one. I think that'll work, maybe. I'm just kind of looking to see where I'm going to put that. Yeah, I'm going to go over here. I'm just kind of centering it. I go 1, 2, 3 stitches down, and that's the one I'm going to use. So I'm going to go in over here. Then I'm going to find that third stitch down. Okay, so I went, there's my tail is over there. So I'm going to go 1, and I'm just going around that stitch, 2, I've been doing 3. So I'm just went around that stitch 3 times. This is the third time. So now I'm going to skip over 1, 2, 3 to this one. And not pull it too tight, and just go around this one. 1, 2, and this is my third one, so I'm just going to go back here and try to come out in the exact same place. Okay, so those are my eyes. And now what I'm going to do with these is tie those off and pull them through. This one I'm actually going to go over there too. I'm going to get this one back in there and go to that same place so I can tie everything off together. So I think as long as they're tied off, we can just pull them back in, and then we can just weave, pull them through the doll. So 1, and that one. And don't be okay, so I've got this little knot there, but when I pull it through, it'll disappear. So I'll get that. And the key is to go right back in the same place. You went in, come out. See how it's already, that knot's already gone. But it's inside there, so you're not, so nothing's going to come undone, probably. Who knows, if a dog chews on this, it'll come undone. But if your cat carries it down the stairs, probably not. All right, so those are my tails, and then you just pull them a little clip, and then they go away. All right, so now the mouth, if you want to do the mouth, some people do, some people don't. This is how I've been doing it. Sometimes the mouths, it depends how you do it, but sometimes they look kind of odd. This is how I did it. I went down to let's see, I went down 1, 2, 3, and for that stitch, I'm going to go over there, go around. Actually, what I'm going to do is come in here, go down, 1, 2, 3, and then this time I went around 3 hole stitches there. This time I'm going around like 1 in the middle and half on each side. So it kind of gives it a little smile. Then go back out in that same spot. Pull that. Make them look how I want. Then I'm going to tie them off. And if don't pull this too tight, because then you're going to pull you're going to distort the mouth. So 1, 2. Okay, now we can pull these through too. So see how easy it is to get rid of these tails. You're not having to weave them in. So go through that same spot and try to get it right in the same spot. Go through somewhere and pull. See how it's already pulled that knot through. Okay, and then we'll clip those. There it is. Now, that's just kind of your basic thing. Now, if I wanted to duplicate stitch, I would figure out which needles and just duplicate around each one. If I want to do little pigtails, that's actually pretty easy, so I'll show that. So I'm going to make, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strands, about, I don't know, about 10 inches long. That one shouldn't be there. And I'm going to cut. Then I'm going to cut these and cut those. So I've got, I think I have 6. So I'm going to take 3 and fold them in half. I'm going to take my latch tool and I'm going to find a place where I want to put the pigtails. So I'm going to go to the bottom of where this gathering is and go in one of those. Go in there with my latch tool. Grab those, pull them through, then pull the whole thing through. Try not to get it stuck. And then you can just sort of make a little knot, and then I can trim those off. Go on this side, do the same thing. Maybe right, figure out where I want them. I guess right here would be good. All right, so what I did, I folded them in half, basically, pulled through. So I've got them through now, and I'm just going to pull all these tails. It's kind of like when you make a tassel. Just pull that through. That one didn't work that great. And then just kind of arrange them so that you like the way it looks. So there, and then you can cut these however you want. You could braid them. You can do all kinds of stuff. So there it is. That's my little doll. I have, I think, 10 of these at this point. I am going to donate them and maybe give one to Claudine. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.